Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator podcast. I am your host, Dana, and today we are talking about 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, Season 8, Episode 1. So happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope everyone's had a good week so far. I hope you were able to catch the Monday Reality Roundup yesterday, which was also on my YouTube channel. So please make sure to go subscribe over there. It's youtube.com/@thebravoinvestigator, and I will also link it in the show notes. And for those of you who are a little bit behind on the show, just wanted to remind you guys that I am now unemployed. So that means this is going to be a 5-day-a-week show. So here is the schedule. Mondays are Reality Roundup as per usual. Tuesdays are 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, like we're doing today. Wednesdays are The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and Vanderpump Rules. Thursdays are Southern Charm. Fridays are The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then on the weekend for my Patreon babies, they will get their Patreon episode. So if you are able to join the Patreon, please do so. It is only $5 a month. It'll get you 4 extra podcast episodes a month, plus ad-free episodes, plus early episodes, plus just a lot of fun bonus content. So head over there if you can. But the Monday episodes will be video as per usual on YouTube. And then I think most of the other episodes are going to be audio only, but I will still post them on YouTube. Unless I'm doing like an interview or like have a special guest or something like that, or just if I'm feeling cute, then maybe I'll do video. But that is not today. So we're doing 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days. I thought, you know what? Let's have a TLC Tuesday. I watch all these shows, so why not podcast about them? Now, it's kind of funny because I think it was Ryan Bailey who initially had talked about this, how he has his shows that he watches for fun, and then he has his shows that he watches for work, right? So 90 Day Fiance was definitely one I used to watch for fun and not have to like take notes on, but I don't mind because you know what? I want to try to make this show, I wanted to have a lot more variety. This is still obviously a reality TV podcast, but I figured, you know what? There is so much great content out there right now. Why don't we mention it all? Mention it all. But anyways, it is like 5 p.m. today on Tuesday. I would have gotten this out earlier, but I was at the car dealership all fucking morning. I left the house at 8 a.m. and I didn't get home till like 2:30, which is the longest I've ever left my dog. She was freaking the fuck out, but mostly because there were like men in the hallway. I know, men, right? Men in the hallway, and they were like talking and cleaning the carpet and vacuuming the carpet or something, and she hated that. So I could watch her through the camera. She was freaking the fuck out. But I had to get my brakes serviced because my dad said that they were sort of like pulsating because he's sharing my car right now because his car was stolen on a date. So yeah, everything's going great in our family right now. So he's been driving my car and he's been acting like a little bitch about it because it is a Nissan and he's used to driving like fancier cars, but like beggars cannot be choosers. But he's like, yeah, your brakes are making me nauseous. Now, my sister did mention that to me, but I thought she was just being dramatic because she's always being dramatic. But yeah, apparently there was something wrong with them. And then I also had to get the winter tires put on because I live in Canada and store the summer tires and get an oil change and all that stuff. And of course, it costs a million bajillion dollars. So I was pretty upset about that, but my dad offered to pay for it. So thank God, because obviously my finances are just not in a great place right now. So it just really sucks when, you know, but this is life, right? Things come up constantly in life. You have like a bill for your car or a bill for something you weren't expecting. In regular life, when I had a full-time job, I felt like that was something that happened weekly anyways, which is obviously going to be a lot more stressful now, given that I'm not working. But I'm so thankful that my dad has been able to help me a little bit. And honestly, can I say something weird? Like, I never thought that my parents' divorce at 70 years old, they're 70 years old, and I was 40, 41 when this happened. I didn't think that it would affect me at all, especially not in a good way. And it has really, really affected me in such a good way. Like, I feel like I have my dad back. Like, I feel like I have a parent, not even back. Like, growing up, I really didn't feel like I had either of their support at all. I was just sort of left out in the wind to my own devices. And I really feel like ever since he's separated from her, he has been a really present parent, despite the fact that I'm 42 years old and maybe don't need that sort of present parent. Well, you know what I do? I have to be honest with you guys. I've really needed it right now, given everything that I'm going through. And he has been so amazing. Like, I'm just so grateful and so thankful for that. But yeah, who knew that divorce would cause better parenting. Very weird. But let's get into our show. Hold on, I need some water. I told you guys a long time ago I'm taking like these pills that help me stop sweating, but they give me the worst cotton mouth. So this is before the 90 days. Now, those of you who are longtime 90 Day watchers know that there are so many iterations of this show, right? 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way, Before the 90 Days, The Last Resort, The Single Life, Pillow Talk, so many, right? Before the 90 days and the regular 90 day are usually my favorite. The Other Way this season has been a little lackluster. Happily Ever After was kind of lackluster this year. It was very like housewives driven. It sort of seemed like they were taking three couples and trying to make them all fight with each other in a housewives type way. And yeah, it really didn't fly for me. But I do struggle when I start a new show and there's no characters that I already know. 90 Day Fiance, no matter what iteration, usually tries to drop in a couple that we've seen before because they might be going this way one time and then the other way the next time. So they find a way to try to make it fit in. But this new season of 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days doesn't have any couples that we know. But regardless, I was hooked. I was really, really hooked. This season looks really good. And we got through, I think, four couples in the first episode. One, two, three, four. And it looks like we're going to get like three or four more from what I can tell from the preview for next week. So I'm really excited about this. This show is always so good. It is never bad. And it has been around for so many years, but like its luster just never lacks. It really doesn't. It's one of Amy Schumer's favorite shows of all time, and it's one of mine as well. It is just it's such a ridiculous show. You meet the most ridiculous types of people with the silliest interests and hobbies and things. It's just the most eclectic people end up on this show, in my opinion. But basically, what we're going to do is break it down by the four couples that we have. And then next Tuesday, I'm going to be joined by Amy Archer from Little Miss Recap to recap episode 2. So I'm really excited for that. So let's start with our first couple. We have Forrest 32, he's from Oregon, and Sheena from the Philippines. I didn't catch her age, but I think it's around the same age. So we start with the scene of Forrest in his kitchen, and Sheena is watching him and talking to him through the ceiling camera. So he has set his house up as a smart house. He has sensors for everything, and he has security cameras in his house that his girlfriend Sheena has access to 24/7. Now, he says that most people might find that weird, but he finds it comforting knowing that she's always there. He says, like, what if I fall over? There she is, right there, making sure I'm safe. Okay, I mean, it's really creepy. They're actual security cameras that you see in a store. And it reminds me of that couple that were also in the Philippines. It was the guy who had to be on the phone with his girlfriend 24/7. Do you guys remember the name of that couple? The girl's name was maybe Mary or something. And they're still over there and they're constantly trying to get money from people. I think they ended up having two kids. Remember, they had like mosquitoes all over their wedding. You guys know who I mean. I never remember the names of these people. I'm so bad at that. But it really reminded me of that. And in that situation, it was the girlfriend wife in that situation who was making the boyfriend be on camera with her all the time. So we haven't met Sheena yet in this episode, so we don't know if this is something that she really wants or what the deal is. But I do have to mention that Forrest has autism. He seems extremely high functioning, but you'll see why his mother is so involved in his life. But let's talk a little bit about Sheena and Forrest's relationship. So Sheena lives in the Philippines. They've been together for 7 years, but haven't met in person. And he lives on Filipino time, basically. So they can spend the most amount of time together. So he will literally go to sleep when she goes to sleep, even though that's a different time where he lives, and wake up when she wakes up. Okay, man. All right. Now, if Sheena wants more romance, he will ask Siri to play sexy mode. And then he starts like cute dancing and doing all this stuff to show the camera how he gets sexy time going with Sheena. And I'm like, oh man. I have to say though, he's is a sweet guy, right? Like I get a good vibe from him. He seems like he has like a really good heart and a good soul. And you know what? If they want a sexy dance, they can sexy dance. So he said that having their sexy moments on camera was weird for him initially, but Sheena said that she loves his flab and he loves her curves. So, okay, I mean, great. They're into each other's bodies. They don't have to worry about that part, so that's good. But he doesn't want it to be virtual forever. So he does plan to go to the Philippines soon with Sheena, but his mom, Molly, and his stepdad are coming with him. He's worried because his mom is really hard-headed and she will definitely say whatever's on her mind. Now, I think because of his autism, I think that there's like a different level here where Molly, his mother, is just more worried about him getting scammed or something bad happening to him, which she explains a little bit later on. So we end up getting to meet Molly. She takes Forrest to a sex shop to buy something special for Sheena. Now, doing that with your mom is that's a choice, right? I mean, he's probably never been to a store like that before. Fair enough. But I just don't think something involving your girlfriend and your private parts. I mean, there was even one point in time during the episode where he said something like, "Oh, when I think about Sheena in lingerie, I'm just gonna start freaking out. I'm just gonna start," and we don't need him getting a boner in front of his mom, right? Like that would be a super weird situation. But I also think that the mom is a little bit odd for like wanting to go with him to do this and being like, "Oh, what is Sheena's favorite color? Oh, it's purple. Okay, let's get her a nice negligee, maybe a thong." And that's just like so wild to me. I I am a girl and I have never been lingerie shopping with my mom because there's certain connotations that come along with it, right? Like it's not it's not like training bra shopping with your mom. It's lingerie shopping for the opposite sex, meaning your mom knows what you guys are going to be getting up to. I get that they're really close. I get all that, but it's a really like weird thing to me where they don't have like that divide. I feel like, if she wants to be involved in his life in all other ways, all right. But when it comes to his sex life, it gets a little weird. I don't think that he needed his mom's help with this. I feel like he could have bought something online, quite frankly. So it's kind of interesting because, she caught him as a kid going through Molly caught him going through her sex drawer. So she promised to take him to a sex shop one day. And it's sort of like when you catch your kids smoking and then you make them smoke a whole pack of cigarettes so that they're sick of it. I guess it's sort of like that, except I guess she promised him this one day in the future. I mean, listen, if he saw her sex drawer as a kid, and listen, she's talking like a real sex drawer, not like a magazine, okay? Apparently, her and her husband had like a whole drawer of goodies and toys. I think that maybe she should have explained to him what they were, as opposed to telling him that he'll get some of these goodies one day and that she will take him there, because I feel like it's probably best to explain to him these are the kinds of things that are for adults. This is not for you just yet. And one day when you're older, you will get to play with toys like this. Not, I will bring you to this. I wonder why she wants to connect herself so much to his sex life. I find that part weird. But Forrest explains that 7 years ago, he was really struggling in his life with his ADHD and autism. So his mom actually added him to like a Facebook group or like a social media group. He ended up seeing Sheena posting something and then commented on it. And basically, the rest is history. So it's kind of Molly's fault if you think about it. Now, Molly doesn't like or trust Sheena, and she's worried that this trip is going to be a disaster. So we're at the sex store and they want to get Sheena something queen size because he says out loud how much she weighs, which, I don't know if Sheena's going to have the opportunity to see this show in the Philippines, but like if a guy outed my weight on national television, I would fucking die. I would fucking die. I would just die. Can you imagine? Again, I know he meant absolutely no harm, but that would just be like so incredibly awful. But, the woman at the store is a bit bigger and so is Molly. So they're just calling themselves queen sized, which I really love. No one has ever called me queen sized. They've just called me fat. I would love from now on for people to just call me queen sized. I'm all about that. And then that way, I can just get as fat as I want and I don't really have to worry about it because I know I'm just queen sized. I love that. I really do. So Forrest tells the camera that he's never had sex or kissed a woman before. But then he also says that he and Sheena have been having intercourse over the camera. So I'm not sure how he figures that because intercourse means in, I think, right? Like you have to put something in for there to be intercourse. I don't know what they could possibly be doing over the camera that isn't just like self-serving masturbation, right? I mean, you could be talking to each other, you could be saying sexy things to each other, but is he actually looking up at like the ceiling camera and like telling her that she's sexy through the ceiling? Or are they actually like sitting down at the computer and doing this in like a private space? I don't really know because it's my understanding that these cameras are just like everywhere. So I don't really know where sexy time happens, nor how it happens, nor what it entails. But this is really interesting. He says that Sheena is a virgin too, so they plan to lose their virginity together. I just really want to know. Actually, I don't know that I want to know. I take that back. I don't want to know. I'm just curious what he thinks intercourse means and what he thinks that they have actually done together. Because again, what can you do with someone? It's like phone sex, basically, right? Phone sex, video sex, that kind of thing. But yeah, technically, you're both still virgins because intercourse means in, I think. So Molly tells Forrest that she is actually really concerned about Sheena's parents. She thinks that they're scammers. So apparently, like several years ago, Sheena had this bank account with money in it, and Forrest told her to like save her money in there. It was going to be for her and Forrest to save their life or to start their lives, not to save their lives. It was going to be for her and Forrest to start their lives together. But then years later, Sheena told Forrest that her parents stole the money from the account. What? What do you mean stole the money? I mean, like, it seems like she had given them access to the account, or maybe they had always had access to the account. But if they had access to the account, is it really stealing? Did she authorize them to give it? Like, it seems really, really weird that they took all of the money without her consent. I don't really understand this part. And then apparently, Forrest was like, okay, now I need you to open your own account and don't give your parents access to it. But then 4 years later, the same thing happened again. So Molly's like, okay, something fishy is going on here. I don't like this. Initially, Sheena or Molly did like Sheena, but now she just doesn't really trust her and thinks that she's a scammer. Now, Forrest feels like he can trust Sheena 100%, but he feels like the parents manipulated their daughter. So I am curious what is going on here. I don't know if Forrest has been sending her money or these accounts. I don't know if these are accounts are money that Sheena was just saving up on her own. If so, I don't know what's worse, quite frankly, but if she's been saving up money on her own and this is like her money, and then her parents are just like withdrawing it, how does she have a relationship with them? What does she say to them about it? What about Forrest, right? We need to hear this whole other side of the story because we're only hearing Sheena's side through Forrest, and we're not really sure what's really going on here, right? Because are the parents asking her to get money from him, for example? And that's what's really been filling this bank account. And then they're stealing that. I'm not really sure. Or are they just taking their own daughter's money? Or do they feel like, this is just like a family communal bank account and we all can share it and we all take what we need when we need because we're a family, right? Some cultures are like that and they don't really believe in like the separation of anything. We all work together. We all spend money together. We all do these kinds of things together. I don't know if this is this culture in particular because I just don't remember off the top of my head, but it is something to sort of consider. Like, what do you mean the parents are taking her money and why? Like, we need a lot more information here. I just don't understand this part. So Forrest tells his mom that he might up staying longer to get the visa process started. And that way she can get further away from her parents. And he's going to try to sort of help the situation by getting her away from the parents, away from the manipulation, and be able to start their own lives together. And Molly is like, no, absolutely not. You will not. No, this is not the path for you. Now, Forrest tells the camera that he understands how his mom feels, but no one is going to stop him from rescuing Sheena. She's a princess in a tower. I don't know if she needs rescuing, right? Like I'm trying to understand what's going on here in her family. It's really weird to me, and I do understand why Molly is worried. So it does make a lot of sense then that Molly and her husband are going because they're worried about their son. And apparently this has happened to him before. So Molly tells the camera that Forrest wants to be like a grown man and make his own decisions. But before he met Sheena, he was scammed by a woman in Indonesia. He was apparently sending her all this money, and then he went to meet her by himself and it fell apart, which is why Molly wants to come this time because she's worried that he could be taken advantage of, which, that's completely understandable, right? And especially with him being autistic and he probably doesn't travel that much on his own. She just wants to make sure that he's safe and, yeah, not taken advantage of. And for those reasons, I completely understand. But it's also sort of weird to bring your parents along on a trip where you're going to meet your fiance for the first time, right? Like you're going to want to be alone together. You're going to want to do things together and spend time together. And I don't know how much leeway Molly's going to give him because right now she seems fine, a little clingy, but fine. I just don't know if she's the type of person or the type of mom who truly just doesn't want her son to get in a relationship and just always wants her to be with her, or whether she truly believes that Sheena is a scammer, which, I don't blame her, right? Given that he's been through something before and there's something sketchy going on with the parents. I do understand where she's coming from. I'm just sort of curious as we get to know Molly, whether we're going to be able to determine whether she would actually be open to her son meeting someone in a real way. Now, Molly says something really fucked up, which I think is so wild. She says that she's worried that Sheena is going to be able to try to keep him there. Once they've had the nookie and the neck, he will be even less likely to want to leave. Like, girl, what? You don't need to make the noises and call it the nookie, okay? That is too much. I see what she's saying. She's like, once you're all horned up, she's she's giving you what you want, you are never gonna leave. But like to say that on national television absolutely set me. Once you get that, nom, 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 I've never heard of like my mom has never referred to sex in that way. I will definitely say. So, you know, he is a man, right? Men do like sex. And while he hasn't had it yet, he is very excited to. So I don't know. I don't think that would be like the thing that would keep him there. Like if their relationship was like a roller coaster and they were fighting left and right, I don't think that it would be just the sex that would be keeping him there. I think if it was really that bad, he'd probably leave. But we also don't know Forrest that well either yet. I do have to say, though, like I said at the beginning, I really like him. He seems really sweet, really innocent, really down to earth and just like a sweet little boy. So I hope this girl doesn't hurt him. I really do. Okay, let's move on to our second couple, Emma, 27 from LA, and Ziad, 27 from Morocco. So this girl is like a little carbon copy Kardashian type, okay? Lives in LA, long black hair, lots of Botox, lots of filler, and she is just desperado to be married. But instead, she lives with her twin sister, Izzy. They both love beauty and Botox, and they both work at med spas, competing med spas across the street, quite frankly. So she admits to being boy crazy and falling in love after like one shot of tequila. But she says dating in LA has been such a joke, which I hear, right? I hear it's so hard to date in LA. Nobody's looking for something serious. Everybody knows everybody already. So it's sort of like you've already dated everyone. But to have to go all the way to Morocco is, a whole other vibe. Izzy, her sister, thinks that she's making a mistake going across the world to meet a guy because she thinks that she has a bad track record with guys. Now, with Ziad, he just wanted her, no questions. And that's what made her fall in love with him right away. He makes her feel like he truly loves her for her. So she met him on an international dating app, and he was calling her his future wife within 15 minutes into their first convo, and that sealed the deal for her. And it's like, Emma, come on. Like, apparently he was sending like his initial messages were like, hey, wifey. And you're like, oh my God, he wants to have a future with me. You called me wifey. Girl, it's just words. Come on. Like, this girl is clearly so, so desperate to get married. And I understand, right? Like, this is something you wanted your whole life and you keep getting dicked around by men. I totally understand. But that doesn't mean you have to like jump into the arms of the first guy that says wife, because it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be your husband, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work out. He's doing what he needs to do to drag you in. That's what people do at the beginning of like conversations when they start to date, right? You say cute little things to each other to try to keep each other interested. And just because he calls you wifey doesn't mean he actually sees you as his wife, because you've only been talking for 15 minutes, as you said, right? So obviously he doesn't know you very well. She says that they've talked about getting married and about him coming to the US, but she is going to go to Morocco and she is not leaving until she has a ring on her finger. So that could be bad in case he doesn't put a ring on her finger. So what's she going to do? Just like wander up and down the sand dunes looking for another guy and being like, ring me, put a ring on me. So Ziad apparently is not her first Moroccan boyfriend. Last year, only a year ago, she flew to Morocco to meet this guy, Mohammed, who ended up breaking her heart. So her sister feels like the same thing is going to happen again. Did we not already have a Mohammed from Morocco? Mohammed. Like, I feel like that voice is coming to me, like some older white lady going, Mohammed. I don't know. There was a lot of Mohammeds over the years, over 90 Day Fiance. So I don't really know. But Zia doesn't know that she was engaged before to a different Moroccan man. And, Emma sends Ziad sexy selfies all the time, but he doesn't return the favor. So she's sort of worried that his penis might be small or uncircumcised, and she doesn't know what she would do if it were. Right? I mean, the uncircumcised part, it's probably uncircumcised, right? Like, unless you're Jewish, okay, correct me if I'm wrong because I really don't know, okay? But unless you're Jewish or live in like North America, I don't think circumcision is super common, is it? I could be wrong. I have absolutely no idea. I've never been to Morocco or any of those countries, but would you guys say that most men there would be circumcised? I feel like a Muslim man is unlikely to be circumcised. So it is kind of weird though that she's sending him pictures and he's never sending any back. And that could always mean that he's a scammer and he's not who he says he is. But I think they've also had video calls. So we're pretty sure we are getting the guy that we're getting. We're just not sure about the peen. And the peen is important. But Emma seems to be more concerned about the ring than the peen. But it also seems like she would leave if the peen were small. I actually hope it is because she's just acting so desperate and it just makes me sad for her. She's a beautiful girl. She has a personality. I don't want to say it's necessarily a good personality. She has a personality. So I feel bad for her that she's placing like all of her eggs in this basket when, she doesn't really know a lot about him. She doesn't know what his body looks like. And a year ago, she was engaged to somebody else. So that's kind of wild. So Emma is getting ready to go to Morocco. She decides to bring a dress that Muhammad's mom made for her, which her sister and brother and myself think is super weird. Why would you be doing that? Why? That doesn't really make a lot of sense because, from our understanding, Emma and Muhammad got engaged in Morocco, and on the plane home, for some reason, she got like this weird vibe. So she decided to message every girl that he was following. And it turned out he had almost 20 other girlfriends. Okay, you guys? 20 other girlfriends. So I guess her instinct was right, but it's so strange that right after someone proposes to you, that you wouldn't be on cloud nine, that your first thought would be, I wonder if they're dating other people. So I would like to get some other context there for like what led her to that. Or you could just call it women's intuition, right? Like you never know. But again, you would think that she would be on cloud nine and not be like worried about who else he could be talking to because didn't he just give her the commitment of a lifetime? So when she landed in LA, Muhammad told her that she was crazy and they were done. So Emma has not told Zied about Muhammad because there was like a bit of an overlap between them. There was basically a point where like she was still seeing Muhammad like a little bit and had started seeing Zied. And then Muhammad said that he wanted to work things out. So she stopped talking to Zied. And then Muhammad and her ended things. And then her and Zied picked up where they left off. So the whole dress thing and the whole Muhammad thing is odd to me. So Zied does not know that Emma has been to Morocco. Actually, that's not true. Zied does know that she has been to Morocco, but thinks that she went there with a friend. He doesn't know that she was there with a guy, doesn't know that she was engaged. And I think, and her brother makes the same point, that like Zied is probably going to be really pissed when he finds this out because, you were engaged to somebody else a year ago from the same country. And now you're like bringing a dress that his mom made you. It seems weird. It seems like not only are you making the same mistakes over and over again, you're also I like listen, I'm not gonna take Ziad's side probably for this entire thing. I'll say that, but it is a weird place to put your potential boyfriend, fiance, whatever in because if someone started dating me and the person they dated right before me was also from Toronto, okay, maybe that's not equivalent because like there's lots of people in Toronto, but if they like were kind of just like me, I would think that that's a bit weird. And it would almost seem like the person is just trying to recreate something that they had before. And that might make me feel a little bit weird. So on the way to the airport, Emma tells her brother and sister that she was fired yesterday because there was a situation with her old best friend and another girl at work who was also her friend who made an inappropriate comment to the other friend. So I don't know. She got involved somehow because HR like called her in and she told HR that she wasn't there when she was there because she didn't want to be involved. So she ended up getting fired for withholding information. I mean, that's a pretty good reason. I mean, I feel like I got fired for no fucking reason. I literally had to ask for a reason. And they're like, your work requires too many edits. I'm like, well, how many edits is too many edits? I didn't say that, but that's sort of how I was feeling. I don't know, this is like an interesting situation because, if these two people are your friends, I could see why you wouldn't want to get involved. But at the same time, if HR is asking you to tell the truth about something, you just sort of have to tell the truth. But she doesn't seem put off by this whatsoever. She like does not care that she's been fired. She doesn't seem to have like a care in the world type of thing. Or maybe it's just that her face is just so Botoxed that I just cannot tell because it does not move. So her sister is like, what are you going to do for money? Like he's expecting you to pay for everything. Okay, that's a fucking red flag. What? So apparently Ziad is a nurse and doesn't make a lot of money. So she offered to pay for a place for them to stay at and sort of expects her to pay for everything. I mean, nurses here make a lot of money. So I don't know if that's necessarily true. And if he can pay for himself to live, then why can't she come stay with him? So I'm sort of curious what his financial situation is. Also, it's kind of fucked up to make the girl who's coming all the way to you pay for everything for you. So I don't know. This does seem like another scam type situation. You're making this girl come all the way to you, pay for you, do everything for you. This doesn't seem like it's going to have a happy ending. So Emma ends up having a 2 hour layover in Paris, and she ends up getting a bunch of texts from Ziad saying that they can't kiss at the airport. And so she's kind of upset about this because beforehand, when they talked before she even got there, she was like, are we going to be able to be affectionate? And he's like, yes, no problem, because it was her understanding that, in some Muslim countries, you can't show affection or do that kind of thing in public unless you're married. And we've seen that on these shows many, many times before, but we're never sure when it's actually valid or when it's being used by the other person to avoid any sexual contact, right? Now, Emma is gorgeous, so I doubt that the reason here would have anything to do with her appearance, but it is odd that he literally told her before, yeah, we can do whatever we want. We can kiss, we can hug, whatever. But then she gets a bunch of texts from him being like, these are the rules and we can't kiss. So at the airport, Emma goes into the bathroom and changes into like this red clubbing dress with like fringe and cutouts, puts on more makeup. This kind of reminded me of, was this Darcy and Jessie, right? She had been traveling forever. She goes into the bathroom, sprays herself down, puts on all the new makeup, all the new clothes, gets her heels on, and she's trying to drive her little cart. This really, really reminded me of that. And she looks a little bit ridiculous because she does look like she's going clubbing and it's just the airport. So Ziad is Muslim, and when they actually meet up with each other in person and they say like hello and everything, he asks her to respect his culture and not talk sexually because she had been, being like, how do my boobs look? How does my body look? And he's like, don't talk about that kind of thing. And she's like, again, what the hell? I've asked you a million times if we could be physical with each other in public, and you said yes. So now she feels like it's a weird thing for him to wait till she was almost there to tell her that. Then he tries to kiss her on the cheek, and she's like, no, I don't want to ruin my makeup. So Ziad is like, oh, fine. That was the last kiss I'll give you. Like it was a threat or something. It just seems like really weird to me. So Emma ends up getting upset and walks off crying because she feels blindsided. Now, all of their combos until now have been about wanting to be all over each other and how he's saying, no, I want to touch you and I want to kiss you. So she doesn't know why he's choosing now to tell her this, and she feels like he's been lying to her this whole time. Probably, right? I mean, it is our understanding that in a lot of these Muslim countries that you cannot be physically touchy in public, but we did see him, like I just said, say on camera that they could be. So I do wonder why he's doing that now. I don't think, like I said, it's a reason having to do with her physical appearance because she's gorgeous. Unless really is just trying to marry her to get a green card, to come to the US and to have the quote unquote American dream and doesn't really have any interest in her. I mean, he could be gay for all we know, right? And I don't mean that in any negative or bad way. I mean, that could be a reason that he's using to avoid physical contact. He could actually just be full on scamming her, be full on gay, and just trying to get into this fake relationship in the hopes that she will pay for everything, bring him to the US and get him a green card. It's a very big possibility. And it does seem like for the majority of the couples that we're looking at today, we do have some scammy parties. And that's why I think this season is going to be so, so good. I almost can't believe these people allow cameras into their lives. Do you remember that guy? Oh my God, what was his name? I forget his name, but he was also obsessed with his mom. And he took a lock of his hair with him to, I believe, the Philippines to meet his wife. They ended up having a couple kids together. And I think that custody was taken away from both of them. But do you remember when like he was robbed at like machete point, right? Like in the middle of a forest, wherever they were, it was really wild. So the kinds of things that they end up catching on camera on this show are wild. Wasn't there another guy, the guy who was blind, who ended up traveling to, again, I think it was the Philippines. He stayed in the new girlfriend's house, and then her mom died that night. She like fell through the stairs. Again, wild shit that happens on these shows. It's never a dull moment. Okay, let's move on to Laura, 47 from Washington, and Birkin, 26 from Turkey. Okay, so that's quite an age gap. Now, she is a fifth grade teacher, And she's sort of giving like Craig Conover with her obsession with AI and using it in daily life. Like she talks to ChatGPT for everything. She asks it what to text, what she should wear to an event, but she also seems like a really together person who honestly is such a cutie. Like I actually really, really like her personality. One of her favorite hobbies is reading dark, smutty romantic novels, and she's even dabbled in writing some of them. So she reads a little bit out loud, and like, yeah, I could see getting a little hot and bothered. Now, none of her relationships have ever worked out. She did get married at 21 and it didn't work out. She's dated guys since, and she's even gotten engaged at one point, but there was just always something missing. She's mostly had trouble meeting guys who are interested in the same thing that she's interested in until she met Michael. Now, Michael is not her international love. No, no. This is her local bestie, okay? They met playing pickleball in a local park, and the more they hung out, the more they realized that they had in common. They do all these kinds of activities together, bike riding, pickleball, and they have amazing conversations. He's been so supportive and a great sounding board. So she ended up meeting a guy online a couple months ago and is going to Turkey to meet him. And people think that she and Michael are actually together, so it's sort of confusing between them at times, but he really is just her best friend. Her actual boyfriend's name is Birkin. She met him on Snapchat, which she said that she only joined for looking for a Christmas filter or something. I don't know. I haven't used Snapchat in such a long time, so I don't even know what its uses are. But basically, she said that there's like a find a friend feature in there, and that's how they met. So why she really likes him is that he has this bad boy aesthetic and that he's also really young and 26. So I think he's sort of like the poster boy for like these dark, dirty, smutty novels that she reads. And she's like, yeah, that's the main character in my story. That's the guy I want. He mostly works in cafes. And now Michael says that when he met Laura, she was engaged. So he wasn't really thinking about her that way. But he's worried that beer can will get in the way of their friendship, especially if he comes there. Um, yeah, we have another one who might be coming along for the ride, but we'll get there in a second. So for Laura, health and fitness is extremely important to her, but she ended up getting up to 300 pounds during COVID. Been there, girl. And she lost 140 pounds in 14 months, all through diet and exercise, which is fucking amazing. Good for her. No Ozempic, no Manjaro. And like, I wouldn't even judge her if she did, but like, I have a lot of respect and, you know, admiration for people who do it the old fashioned way, right? She did it all through diet and exercise. But, you know, once you've been in a fat body, it's sort of hard not to view yourself that way. I mean, even at my thinnest, I still thought I was like so grossly overweight. So it's sort of like a body dysmorphia type of thing, which makes sense that she still has some insecurities about her weight and she does worry about Bearcat having an issue with it. And this is something that, like, you know, I've always struggled with when it comes with dating in general, but especially online dating, because you're meeting someone online, they haven't seen your body, you're not comfortable in your own body, and then you're just sort of nervous that this person isn't going to be interested in you because of your body. I have literally been on so many dates, not anytime recently, where I don't hear from the guy again after the first date. I'm like, oh, okay, it was probably because of my body. Not because I had sex with them, but just because like I'm fatter than they thought I was or something. But that is just always my first thought because I don't know. I feel like physical attraction, especially for men, is like the number one priority. And so if they meet me and they're just like, oh, yeah, that's not normally my physical body type, I'm not going to go for it. So I would always try to put pictures online that were realistic, but at the same time, you don't want to be looking like your worst in like your online photos too. You sort of want to be using your photos where you look your best, right? But you also don't want to be deceiving. So I can't even imagine being in a situation like this, which I never would. I would never try to date someone internationally, but I can't even imagine going all the way across the world to meet someone and then they say to me like, or I don't know if they'd actually say it, but and then come to realize that they're not attracted to my body and I'd have to go all the way back home. Like it's one thing if I just have to go on a date in Toronto and then turn right back around and go home 20 minutes later. It's a whole other song and dance to go all the way across the world, right? So, I mean, she's not talking about this in like a major way. It's just something that sort of rang true to me and it made me think about something that like I would feel insecure about. So I totally understand where she's coming from. It's even harder when you're meeting people new people, right? Because like Michael, who she hasn't had sex with, who is just her best friend, if they were ever to be together, I bet she really wouldn't worry about that as much because he spends like day in, day out with her. He's around her body all the time. So she knows that if he asks her out and they end up dating, that he is attracted to her. While Birkin has never actually like met her in real life or seen her body in real life. And so, it could get kind of stressful to think about the fact that like, I don't know what he's going to think when he meets me. Now, initially, she had asked Michael to come to Turkey with her because they do everything together. But lately, she's rethinking that. Michael thinks it would be a good idea for them to get to know each other, mostly because he's worried that, like, once they get together, Michael's going to be like pushed to the wayside, right? Because Birkin doesn't like the idea that Laura has a male friend that she spent so much time with. She doesn't want a controlling partner, but she can't really blame Birkin because they're much closer than, a typical guy girl friendship. And she is also pretty sure that Michael does have feelings for her. So Laura said that their relationship has an expiration date when she was talking to Michael. She's like, look, you know, when we both get into relationships, as I've told you, our relationship is going to change. It cannot remain the same. And this is so true, right? Like you can have an unconventional guy girl friendship where you're a little bit more like boyfriend and girlfriend than you probably should be. But if there's no one else involved, it's fine. But yeah, the minute either one of you gets into a relationship, that has to change dramatically immediately because of how close they are in their relationship. And it would make any opposite party feel the exact same way. Laura did admit to having feelings for Michael at one point, but he was always talking about like wanting to go on dates with people or always talking about wanting to meet someone. But Michael's behavior has changed since she's been dating Birkin. He's been holding her hand and he took her out on a date. But Michael also refuses to accept or acknowledge that he has feelings for her, which is odd. So we see Laura trying to have this conversation with Michael where she's sort of trying to put it out there for him like, this is your last chance in a way. She's like I said, our friendship has an expiration date. You need to say what you want. You need to put it out there. And Michael gets really, really emotional. So if you'll watch the show, you can see that Michael has a birth defect. He has, I don't know exactly what it is, but he has like an indent in his nose. It almost looks like a cleft palate, but of the nose. So I've never seen anything like that before. He says that growing up with a birth defect has been really hard for him. So he learned to reject people before they reject him. And now he's feeling like Laura is kind of rejecting him by saying, our friendship has an expiration date. But Laura says that she feels like she deserves to be fully loved by someone, and Birkin is willing to give that to her. But she hopes that she doesn't have to lose Michael in the process. Now, this is just so sad and complicated. Like, to me, this looks like the start of a rom-com where, like, Michael is the one she's meant to be with, right? Like, isn't that obvious here? Isn't it obvious that, she did all of this for, at the end of the day, to end up with Michael? I feel like, in one of her romance novels, she would travel across the world to Morocco to meet Birkin. He wouldn't be that interested in her. And then she turns around and Michael is standing right behind her, down on one knee, saying, I should have never let you go. Why did I ever let you go? I'll never let you go again. I love you, Laura. I'll marry you right here, right now. But it was so crazy to watch him just like not say it. I guess he's had like so much trauma in his life, or he's worked so hard to protect himself for so long that he's just like not capable in his own mind of getting hurt, right? But he's not going to get hurt. I feel like Laura would reciprocate those feelings. She's basically told us that. I don't know what she's ever told him though, because even in this conversation, she's not telling him, I have feelings for you. She's sort of asking him what he wants. And I know that it can be extremely unnerving to put yourself out there like that and be like, oh, I have feelings for you. And you sort of assume that the other person is going to reciprocate that, but you don't ever for sure know. So maybe that's why Laura hasn't said anything. But I honestly feel that if Laura just said it to him and said, like, listen, I have strong feelings for you. I want to be your girlfriend. I want you to be my boyfriend. Let's just do the damn thing. He would say yes, because then he won't be rejected. He's being asked for the relationship, right? Like, someone else is asking him for it. But because she hasn't flat out said it, I feel like he's still afraid to say it. Like there's still like this walking on eggshells in their friendship, despite the fact that they're so incredibly close. There is just this little thing, kind of a big thing, that they refuse to talk about with each other or never really get too deep into because it can get too painful. But Michael, at the end of the day, like Laura said, she wants to be loved. She wants to be with someone. And if you're not going to offer her the whole kit and caboodle, what do you want her to do, right? But like I said, it is so clear to me that Michael and Laura are meant to be together. And I hope at the end of this, in like 3 fucking months, when this show is over, or 6 months, however long this goes on for, because these shows go on for fucking ever, that they end up together. Like, I hope I see them at the reunion with Sean Robinson saying, like, we decided that we wanted to be together. It was always you. It was always going to be you. Like, that's what I would want to see. I almost don't even want to waste my time watching her go over to Morocco. But we do see in the preview that Michael does show up there and shows up at Birkin's apartment. So to me, and she seems surprised by it, and so does Birkin. So to me, it seems like she told him, hey, don't come. And then he showed up anyway. So maybe my dreams will come true. Who knows? All right, let's move on to our last couple. Rick, 52 from LA, and it's either Trish or Trisha. I'm not sure. 25 from Madagascar. I feel like this is our first person from Madagascar. That's pretty cool. So this man sells hair extensions, high quality hair extensions. And like I always say about this show, the show is so funny in terms of what these people do for a living or what their kinks or quirks are, because literally this man comes out first thing with just like these long strands of hair. And I'm like, what is this going to be? What is this guy? Give me a minute to sort of settle in here. So his ex was a hairstylist. So he decided to order the best quality hair from India and start like a business. And this business apparently picks up during tax season because that's when women have the most money. I don't know. And then you see him recording almost like a content creator type video being like, buy this really good hair, 20% off with like save 20. So, you know, the business is seasonal. So he is sort of like a jack of all trades and does a lot of other types of jobs. One of which is that he teaches tap dancing. Also, not something I expected from a man who sells hair. And he is quite attractive, right? He's sort of like a built guy, light skinned black guy. He's pretty cute. But yeah, he has some sort of interesting job prospects for sure. He has 5 children from previous relationships. 3 are adults and 2 are young children. And the younger 2, I think, are from a recent marriage. Now, he ended up going on a dating site looking for Madagascar women because he met 2 hot women who were from there. So he thought, that sounds good. Whatever you got to do, man. So he calls Trisha on the phone while we're watching him on screen, and she tells him how much she wants babies. But Rick is like, yeah, I already have 5. It's interesting that this is like their initial conversation that we're seeing them have, not a like, how are you? I love you. I can't wait to see you. Nothing like that. She's just pretty much right into, I want to have babies. She doesn't really see the problem with Rick having 5 because she's like, well, only 2 of them are small. So what's the problem? Which means it sounds like she wants like a really big family. Now, Rick tells her that they can talk about this in person. And this seems like something that they should have talked about a while ago, but we've dealt with this with so many couples, right? I mean, if you guys are not wanting the same thing from a family, then you probably shouldn't be together. Also, he's 52 and she's 25. If she doesn't have kids yet, that means she probably wants to have a whole family and start from the beginning. He's sort of at that place in life where he's kind of coming out of that stage. He has 3 adult children. He's done having younger kids. He's still raising those, but yeah, to start all over again and raise more children from the get-go is something that they definitely need to talk about. And it definitely is an area where an age gap can play a part, right? You have someone who's young and hasn't had kids yet, and someone who's sort of past that stage. And that's why no matter what country you live in, the age issue can sometimes be a problem. So the biggest problem for him is that a few weeks ago, Trisha just like straight up ghosted him and he was going crazy. Finally, after like 5 days, she answered his calls. But when she questioned him, or when he questioned her about like where she was, she just got so angry about it. So he still needs to get to the bottom of what happened while they're in person because he needs to build trust between them. So then we have this scene of Rick going over to his sister Micah's house to have a barbecue. And he tells everyone that he's going to Madagascar in a week. Rick tells his family that a few weeks ago that Trisha had disappeared for 5 days and it's making him question things. So apparently it's not like she's full on ghosted him. She was just sort of giving like 1-word replies and it was very seldom. And once she did start talking to him again, she did give some sort of excuse that her brother wrecked her motorcycle. So she was dealing with the police on that. And then at the same time, the police were called on her because her ex had accused her of robbing his family's house. What? So she said the whole thing was a misunderstanding, but it still seems suspicious to him and his whole family, which I completely understand, right? Like, why would your ex accuse you of robbing his family's house? They must have some sort of security camera or something to indicate that. Or you must have a current relationship with him in some sort for them to think that, right? Because if she hasn't talked to him in like a year, then why would they think it's her? You know? So it does seem like she still has some sort of connection to him for the family to think that this was her. Now, Rick doesn't think that Trish would go back to her ex, but he has money and Rick's on a budget. And in his experience, when someone disappears like that, they are hiding something. He asked her if she was with someone else, but she denied it. And Rick said that something also happened when he didn't hear from her that she doesn't know about. And this one has been haunting him. Dun, dun, dun. So it sort of ends there, which implies to me, let me say that again. So when he didn't hear from her, he did something that she doesn't know about, and it's been haunting him. I wonder what he did. I wonder if he called the ex. I wonder if he called her friends, called hospitals, went over there, went over to Madagascar looking for her. What did he do during that 5-day time? Did he tell everyone he was breaking up with her? I don't know. These 4 couples are giving me life. They are all so weird. They all have so many secrets, and I can't wait to find them all out. I'm really excited about this season. I can't even wait to do episode 2 with Amy Archer because, like I said, there's going to be way more couples coming up. We have this other one where the woman is much older and the family has an issue with it. We love those. We have one where the guy is a superstar in his country and the woman is from the US and is white, and her aunt apparently comes over there with her. And the aunt is are you dating all of these people? Because I found all these girls that you're dating online. So we have another Soulja Boy because it's another R&B artist. I don't know, but I'm really into these couples. TLC did not half-ass this one, okay? They gave us 4 genuine couples with 4 genuine stories that are going to pull at all of our heartstrings and make us really question a lot of these people and what their real intentions are, which is why I love this show. All right, you guys, I really hope that you enjoyed TLC Tuesday. I'll be back with it next week. And until then, you will hear from me, obviously, tomorrow. Like I said, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and Vanderpump Rules. Thursday, you will hear from me on Southern Charm. Friday, you will hear from me on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The weekend, Patreon time. Back again on Monday for Reality Roundup. And then TLC Tuesday again next week with Amy Archer. So I love you, BBs, and I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator podcast. For more content, head over to patreon.com/the Bravo Investigator podcast. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at the Bravo Investigator. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. Love you, BB. See you next time.